Okay, this particular bench unit was from a car without the chrome seat sides. So it had this larger chrome bracket around the switch, and this would actually, you would cut a hole in the fabric of your seat, and there'd be a bracket behind it. So you'd pass the loom through, and this switch would actually screw to the bracket. Now this switch, if you find the correct seat side, that switch will mount. It'll mount from the back side as well as from the front. So you can see this, the holes line up, everything's good. The problem is this was the only driver's side I had with the knockouts, and the chrome finish on the aluminum is basically peeled off at points, so it's kind of unusable in its current configuration. Normally, the switches that would come with that piece are these smaller guys. I'll call them smaller because they don't have all the chrome surround around it. And again, this would, from the back side, it looks exactly the same. So there's no difference. Now what I made to go with that switch that came with this full bench is I took a regular seat side that didn't have the notches in it, and I cut a rectangular hole in it, and I put the switch in there. It's all I've got. It's got a couple dings, some scratches, but I mean, to get you through, it's fine. And that switch that switch works fine. The one that's coming on this full bench unit. Okay, this particular unit is completely rebuilt. It has new gliders installed on the tracks. The old ones, when disassembled, were completely broken. This one had perfect ends on all the cables. There's nothing that was cracked or broken. The only thing that was broken when I received the unit was the drive shaft on this transmission, which was replaced with a good one that I had. Everything else is the original wire loom. The only thing I did was did have to splice. Someone had cut the power lead going to it. I did an archival splice, in my opinion. And the other thing that I did was I put a brand new relay on here. This is a GM style relay. This isn't the Bosch relays that I normally, I don't really want to redo this whole harness right now. So it works fine, which I'll show you the operation in a second. Normally this would be bolted up to where the motor mounts to the bracket here. Right now, the way I have this mocked up, there's an aluminum plate that spans the distance, and I have a piece of wood on there to keep it from bowing. And now I'm going to hook up the power. Again, this one's got a switch that came from a car that had no chrome sides. This is just mounted to a bracket that would mount behind the fabric of the seat. In this case, I did modify the bracket as I showed you before to accept this. If you find the correct side bracket for it, this could be mounted behind. Same way, just behind the bezel instead of in front of it. So I'll plug the power now and we'll get this unit going. Okay, the unit itself is now grounded to the end of the screw that would actually go through the bracket on the bottom of the seat. And normally I don't need a ground wire on these. It's enough to ground it down. If there's any problems with any of the operation, the original ground kind of went on top of this bolt that held the seat track down, and it was actually, the wire went to the actual seat itself, the framing on the seat, because after all, this does mount to the seat. So if there was any issue with the ground, you would add a ground wire from where it bolts to the floor to the actual metal of the seat itself. So now I have it wired up. The wires always come to the switch from the back side towards the front, and right now the track is in its all the way back position. So I will move it forward. To bring it back again. Bring the back up. Bring the front up. And try to bring them down together. There's usually a longer throw on the one side than the other. So you see the front goes all the way down and then the back all the way down. Again, we're going to go forward with it. and all the way back. Okay, I do have a pair of seat sides. These cover the tracks, so when the seat's in its up position, you can't see the metal portion of the track. However, these are not correct. Let me zoom out a little bit. These are not correct for a full bench. These are actually for a split bench. But this is all I have. It's very difficult to find full bench hardware and plastic trim that has not been all gangstered. Obviously, these are dirty. I will clean these. I will also prep them with a plastic adhesion promoter, and then I will paint them. I usually paint them not a flat black, it's more like a textured black, and that will hide any of the imperfections and stuff. Although this piece is pretty solid, so you could see it's marked right for right hand side, but this is not for a full bench. The full bench would wrap around like this back side wraps around. It would wrap around here. This is for a split bench. And on this side, got the same scenario here. This is also, it's just a left-hand one. But I mean, it'll work fine. There'll be no problems with it. This one's already is black, but I'll probably just go over it with the same treatment that I do the other side. Again, here's a close-up of the tracks. They were media blasted, and then they were polished. And I usually rub a good automotive grease on it, wipe up any of the excess, and that just prevents it from rusting over the years. Again, all the connectors are good. When I ship this, I would just have the transmission and the lines in a separate box, and I do have a video online how to connect all this up and how to install it on a manual bench, actually doing a manual bench conversion. Another thing you got to take your time with is where it meets the front. It's possible you have to make new holes in your seat itself where the bracket, you just don't want to stretch the wires, the cables I should say. You don't want to stretch the cables where the jacket actually pulls away from the plastic here. So as long as it fits and does not pop off, it's in good shape. Normally these are also zip tied to the frame of the seat, which is in the video again that I have already posted on YouTube. Okay, I have these track feet covers that I make. This is made out of a CPE plastic. After I print them, I heat them up and put a slight bend to them. They're also painted with the textured black paint. The original ones kind of had that pseudo vinyl look to them. But this slips in between the foot and the track. And the only thing, which these would be sanded obviously, but if it's a tight fit, you don't want to force it on there. So basically, these would cover the feet track and just stop the carpeting from getting sucked into underneath in the track. So this just needs a little bit of sanding. Obviously I would sand all these to mate them with this track. Obviously 2 per side. Okay, the plastic pieces were gone over with a plastic adhesion promoter. And then I painted them with a plastic paint. It was a slightly textured plastic paint, just to give them a more uniform look. From the picture you saw, the one piece was brown here and the other piece was gray here. Painted everything so they all matched, and I'm just waiting for the paint to cure before I actually go ahead and install these on the power seat suit. Please give us a like and subscribe to the channel for notifications on this project's progress and other how-to videos. Thanks!